Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Quarbit, and I'll be your host today for Crusader Kings 3. We're going to be playing William II of Normandy here, William the Bastard here. But before we get started, let's talk a little bit about Crusader Kings 3 and what the series is going to be about. Now, I'm not exactly a massive Crusader Kings player. I don't have more than like 10 hours on Crusader Kings 2. And Crusader Kings 3, so far I have around 30 hours on, so I'm a little more acquainted with how the whole Crusader Kings role-playing / conquesting thing is supposed to work. But please don't expect way too much of me here. I am definitely not a massive role player, nor am I a huge experienced Crusader Kings player, so when I make mistakes, that's exactly what they are. I'm not very good at these sort of things anyway, but we're gonna figure out how the whole thing works. Now, I want the series to be relatively beginner friendly because I am myself a beginner at Crusader Kings, so assuming that you have completed the tutorial, which you should have, because it's a new Paradox game, so the tutorial's pretty good for, you know, now-ish. Assuming you've done all that, then this is sort of your next step, because we're going to be doing some big plays, but also a lot of explaining the little stuff, if you're interested in that. Or if you're, if you just like to listen to me talk and nitpick about little mechanics and things like that. But anyways, first let's start with the game rules. Do yourself a favor, right? I'm going to throw on Iron Man for achievements, because there's a specific one for William the Bastard of Normandy. But do yourself a favor down here, and just if you have anyone walking in on you while playing the game, or you think like this is probably not good to have on, then just turn off character nudity. For some reason it is by default on, so yeah, it's gonna save you a couple of awkward conversations if they should ever have to occur. Other than that, we're going to keep everything relatively the same on default. I'm pretty sure a lot of these things are actually going to, change your achievement availability, and we don't want to do too much of that, so we're going to keep things the way they are. When it comes to this scenario, though, we are playing as William the Bastard of Normandy, who historically becomes William the Conqueror of England, so that's sort of going to be the plan for this one. We actually start at war with England, because England just plunged itself into a massive succession crisis, where you have the Duke of Normandy, the King of England, the one who sort of took over the throne when the old king sort of promised it off to the Duke of Normandy. And then we have the King of Norway, who I actually don't know what his whole thing is, but apparently he has some sort of claim to it, so there it is. He's also at war with England to start off with. Then we have Denmark and Scotland, who are just sort of waiting from the sidelines to see how the whole thing's going to play, to see if they can themselves go and invade the area, but we're not going to let that happen. We're going to start off as William over here. I actually did create an Iron Man, but I unfortunately messed up a lot of my settings, so we're going to have to overwrite this one a little bit here. So here we are in Normandy, a vassal under France here, under the King of France, and our ambition is to become independent, which will actually happen automatically once we take the throne of England, because essentially France is a kingdom kingdom cannot have another kingdom as a vassal, so that's how that whole thing's gonna play out. At the same time, I'm gonna try and explain things a little bit easier, hopefully not skip out too many important details. A lot of these things will be covered in the tutorial, but just in case you need a refresher, or it is one of the earliest things you end up seeing, let's go over it. So we have the lifestyle over here. Things are very self-explanatory. We have diplomacy, martial, stewardship, intrigue, and learning. Of course, they are exactly matched up to these little icons, or little stats here. Very important. There is no prowess lifestyle, though, unfortunately. But that would sort of tie in with martial. So, we're going to go with martial because we have education experience in here. Education's a little bit different than CK2, from what I remember. I didn't play very much of CK2, but what I know is that you would give your child a sort of education focus. But in this case, I'm pretty sure when you assign someone guardianship, like a child or something, I think they actually take on they get experience from the lifestyle of whoever that is. So for instance, when I choose martial lifestyle and I have a bunch of traits in here, and if I'm guardian over my son or something, then he's going to get martial experience as well. I think he's going to get this little bonus. So we're going to start off with this. Looks like we grabbed Strategist, a whole bunch of these right off the bat. Sometimes I see the Overseer tree, sometimes I see the Gallant tree be used. But it looks like in this case we've started with Strategist, which is totally fine. But I think I'm going to go down Authority for Dread and Control, so that once I take over England, I can make my subjects a little more trustworthy, a little more loyal, if I should say. We also have an empty council position, pretty much very similar to CK2, where you're just going to slap on a whole bunch of powerful vassals. I do find that there are significantly fewer powerful vassals in this game than there are in CK2, because I think it picks like the 5 most powerful to have that position, and I don't think you can have any more than that. But anyways, we're going to assign our half-brother as our spy master. We're going to have... I'm wondering if I should explain this before I click it. Okay, yeah, I will explain it before I click it. So, let's go straight off the top here. We have increased opinion of our king. We're not going to need to, because he will be our king no longer in around 2 years, 3 years or something like that. So we don't have to worry about that. We can change a feudal contract. I don't believe this was something that was in CK2. Something a little similar existed, where you had, I think, contributions, so like tax contribution and levy contribution, and it would be like across the board. But in this case, you can modify it individually with each of your vassals. This case, this is my son and heir, and we have a hook against him. I'm not even sure what the hook is, but it's essentially like a little secret that we have here. Yeah, potential hook secrets. We have a weak hook, which is kind of like a favor in a sense, because we're the house head, and he is of our dynasty. I believe we simply just have it for that reason. But most of the time it's favors and, petty little secrets and stuff. And there are also strong hooks, which are a little bit of a red or yellowy, orangey color here, which is for like really important stuff like murders or terrible, terrible things that you could definitely ruin someone for. But in this case, we're just going to ask him for a couple more levies. We can use this hook here to make sure that, it doesn't become an act of tyranny. Doing so without a proper hook will make that happen. I'm pretty sure you can also grant him a couple other things instead, which basically does the same thing. So if I wanted to, say, protect him against title revocation, then he'll be fine with this. See, I don't have to use a hook. So what I can do is give him protection against revoking titles, and increase his taxes, and increase his levies, using a hook as well. It's not really that much, it's very tiny amounts, but if you raise it on enough vassals, you should see a pretty massive increase in your levies and your tax income. Now, on to the next issue. We can declare a war with Brittany here. This thing does pop up whenever it's possible to declare a war, so you can't really miss it. I actually like that a lot better, how in CK3 it gives you a ton of things that you can do, not only just things that are important, but also options you can explore, which I think is really cool. So we could declare on Brittany, but obviously a very bad idea for our current situation, so we're not going to touch that. We can negotiate an alliance with Count Robert, which happens to be my Count of Bayeux over here. That's not how it's pronounced, like Bayeux, but anyways, probably just because we're related or something. I'm guessing that's what it is. Half-brother and potentially something to do with... I have no idea, actually, but you know what? I do like alliances. Even if I would get his levies anyway, because he's my vassal, but... Anywho, we have a couple of children who could use some guardians. Guardians essentially just help to educate the children, so my daughter, for instance, could be given a martial education from me. Click on this guy. Do you have... did you select yours yet? It's probably not a good idea. if he didn't select his to go ahead and pick one. But I know for a fact that I can at least assign myself to be the guardian of 2 children, so I will give both of my children educations, and I'm not sure I really care what's up with her. I would like to eventually marry her off for an alliance, but I don't think there's anything that's too important about that as of now. He's humble, compassionate, lazy. Alright. You can tutor her, that's fine. And they will be honored to educate the children of the Duke. So usually you don't have any problems with that. Alright, on to arguably one of the most important parts. We have our half-brother and spy master. Sometimes you can get really lucky alliances, I found, where sometimes you can marry him off to Norway, I think, and actually get yourself an alliance with Norway. Which, I mean, it's not super important, because Norway's at war with England in the beginning anyway. So, in this case, we're just going to marry him off to Gwynedd, who is going to donate some very important troops, some very, very key troops to the cause here. So, we're going to see if we can grab ourselves an alliance with them by marrying off the daughter of the prince. Yep, that sounds good to me. Alright, so we've gotten rid of all the pop-ups. Now let's go through each of our little tabs here. First of all, we have the realm. You'll see your domain, your vassals, and your succession here. Currently, our succession law sucks, where all of our children inherit equally with the preference of males. Now, this doesn't mean that, you know, all children actually are going to inherit equally. What we can do is, first of all, setting the gender law makes it so that it says preference, but in reality it's really just exclusively men. So only our sons are going to inherit right now until there are no sons left. The daughters won't inherit anything. And for some reason our son isn't gonna, both of these won't inherit anything, probably because we just don't have enough titles, to be honest with you. So, that's fair enough. But, yeah, we can't designate an heir, which is really unfortunate. But what we can do is we can pass limited crown authority, which allows me to revoke titles, vassals can be retracted, and some stuff with, I don't know, clan government vassals, that doesn't matter too much. But what's important is that we can sort of change between available partition succession laws, which is nice. And it also gets us a little step closer to high crown authority, which is going to allow me to change between all available succession laws. So I can go to single heir primogeniture, which I'm pretty sure just means it goes to the oldest child. Yes, younger children receive nothing. Then there's ultimogeniture, which is youngest eligible child, interestingly enough. And house seniority, which is the oldest eligible member of the house. Ooh, that's a little bit of a weird one. I do like this one quite a lot. It just goes straight to your oldest child, and that works for me. Yeah, we also don't have hereditary rule or primogeniture innovations. Innovations are these little things down here. I don't want to get too much into them because there's a lot to explore here, but hereditary rule would be right around here. Can I click on that actually? Yes, I can change the cultural fascination. Fascination, I cannot speak. So I can change that, which just lets us get some more progress, but those things are better explained in more detail a little later. But yeah, that's about it for our realm. Next is the military. Lots to talk about here. First of all, you might have thought, hey, since we're at war, this must be everything we have, right? Not really. We actually have a little bit more, starting with our knights, which are, of course, very important. So, let's start off from the top here. Total soldiers, these are our levies, armored footmen, and knights, so those include things like men-at-arms groups. Technically, our armored footmen would be a version of these, but they are unique special soldiers to Duke William, soon to be King William of England. So these won't disappear until he's dead, essentially. So, if that's what you're looking for, there it is. Then we have the unraised soldiers, which is a bunch of levies. And these are the levies over here. You can click on them. Don't talk much about them. I don't know why there's actually this tab in the first place, but okay. And then we have the knights, which are essentially powerful sort of champions that you have in your army. They simply have high prowess, and I think they're able to duel people, but I'm not entirely sure. They're kind of like commanders, but also not. They can be commanders, and typically are, or they just serve as powerful units within your army, which is nice. Next, we have the men-at-arms regiments, which, if you are an Imperator player, which many of you probably aren't, but if you are, you'd recognize there are a bunch of different types of, units here. Light footmen, bowmen, light horsemen, you know the gist. Where these at the bottom are purely for sieges, and these all have their specific uses. In our case, we're fighting England, which is mostly made up of plains and forests. A bit of farmlands here and there, but those are similar to plains. So what I'm thinking is that we're going to have a couple of light horsemen for the plains. So we're going to hire one of these. And there we go. You can also upgrade them so you don't have to keep stacking like horsemen over and over again. I sort of made that mistake the first time, but I only make it once you run out of men-at-arms size and keep losing battles for some reason. But anyways, let's move on to the next group, which I think I'll go ahead and secure as the mangonels, which essentially allow you to siege a little bit faster. And by a little bit, I mean it's quite a bit faster. Like, double maybe? But it depends on how many you have, so you can siege extremely quickly if you have a whole bunch. Alright, we already have some armored footmen. They're quite powerful, they have no terrain effects, and they counter spearmen, which I believe would be pikemen. Yes, they're spearmen types, okay. Which are useful against cavalry. So our cavalry, good in the plains. The bowmen, let's see here, we should have someone who's effective against spearmen in here. So we have the horsemen, which are effective, and then we have the armored footmen to help counter the spearmen against them. And they're a little bit expensive, but I don't mind making just one of them. And I think I'll make light footmen. Bowmen or light footmen? Let's go with the bowmen. Forests are a little bit better. I mean, the light footmen are a little better in force anyway. Ooh. Interesting. Alright, I'm going to create the light footmen just because everything else is a little bit expensive here. So, we've created our men-at-arms. They each have varying different effects. I think the cavalry are going to have a big impact here. And the mangonels are going to let us siege a little bit faster. And all of these actually cost a lot of maintenance. You can see at the bottom here, monthly reinforcement and monthly maintenance is minus 2.8 gold per month. And that sort of depends on if they're raised or not. So see, we have up here, the full maintenance is about 1 gold per month, unraised is 0.33. I'm pretty sure when you're reinforcing, then it uses the full maintenance. But keep that unraised maintenance in mind, because they can be pretty expensive. Alright, I'm pretty sure that's everything to do with the military screen. The council's pretty easy to understand. I'm just going to click this button because it decreases the maintenance of men-at-arms, so, kind of important. So we're going to keep that as it is. We could we could just get more levies and stuff, but it's going to save us a lot of money if we do this, and we have more than enough levies to take down England here, I can assure you. As for the rest of these, I don't think we need domestic affairs yet. I don't need to kill anyone, I don't need to touch this, and I don't need to touch this. And then we have court, we can hire a physician, doesn't matter. Intrigue, we're not talking about that right now. And factions don't matter, and decisions kind of matter, but not right now. Alright, that's the whole menu pretty much. Let's get started with everything else. So, we're at war with England. And England's at war with me and Norway. Norway is going to do a bit of heavy lifting for a few months while we gather the men up here. There we go, we have an alliance. Perfect. Marriage proposal is done, which would have given me the alliance here. I can call them to war, but I'm going to wait until I'm up there. England is already going to be preoccupied with Norway, so there should be no issue. Alright. Ooh, I get a secret on someone. I've come to discover a most appalling truth about Count Robert. Though loath bringing this matter to your attention, I must inform you that this man is keeping secrets of the most alarming kind from me. Well, this concern is deeply appreciated, and I would love to know that secret. So, secrets are very useful, because I might be able to use them. Who was it here? What is it? No, that's Count William. I'm looking for Count Robert. What have I missed here? Because if I go to my intrigue, hooks, and secrets, I'm aware of these two secrets here. So I don't really care what my courtier can do. It doesn't matter. It's actually a strong hook. What is this one? Ah, it's the lover secret. It's a strong hook because in Catholicism, I'm pretty sure it is criminal for female adultery. So she would literally go to prison if I expose a secret. So, let's just blackmail him because he is my subject. He's pretty likely to accept. If he doesn't, then I just expose it to everyone, and it doesn't work out very well in his favor anyway, so I can use that to change his contract. Give me some levies, thank you very much, and I will make sure that things are fine. I'll protect your rights, and you can have that. Oh, maybe not. I can't make 3 changes at once. Okay. I'm just gonna make sure you give me some more men and some more money so I can fund my war. I'm gonna put it on speed 5 for a second. Speed 5 is incredibly fast in this, by the way. I'm gonna raise all of these guys. We have to wait for a couple of reinforcements, and boy is it gonna be expensive, but here we go. So, let's explain the pips for a minute here. Because you've probably already noticed, like, hey, what are these whole things? Why is this 1 little bronze pip, and why is this 4 gold pips? Well, essentially, it just sort of signifies the quality of the army. A little more than you'd expect to it, though. So, the quality of your army essentially is brought down by the number of levies in it, and is increased by the number of, what are these things called? Men-at-arms, actually, yes. So the more men-at-arms you have in an army, and the more knights especially, the knights are very important, the more power you have in an army. So even if you have significantly fewer, men or something, if you have superior quality, then you have a much higher chance of not only living, but taking less casualties and being able to fight another day. But as soon as we group it up with these guys who are purely levies, I'm gonna wager that we're gonna have around 2 bronze pips here, I think. Yes, okay, there we go. It also automatically put me in charge, but I really don't want to be in charge because dying is not one of my favorite things to do. Yes. Alright, so we have another daughter here. Let's have my courtier. Let's see, what lifestyle did you pick? You're actually unlanded. Okay, interesting. Did you even pick a lifestyle then? I'm not quite sure. Maybe I don't get to see. That's possible. Okay. Well, you're humble, so maybe she'll be humble as well. Not that that matters too much, but I don't know, maybe. Alright, I think we have everyone. Decent quality, it's not great, but we have a pretty decent number of men and all that. So I think we're ready to land on England. It's going to cost us a fair bit to embark this army. But hopefully once I land, we're going to bring in our friend over here in Gwynedd, who is either going to die really quickly or is going to be extremely useful. And we're going to find out which one it is. So we're going to start off by taking this, just to get a little foothold on the area here. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I don't usually like to speed 5 sieges and all that. It can be a little bit dangerous. Alright, how about I bring you in, how about I bring down the music just a little bit? Because during war, music tends to get a little bit intense. That's usually at the beginning, though. Alright, so we're looking to stand here, because if we want to get into England, we have to cross through here. But, oh, wait, what is this? What could this possibly mean? Well, this is something that I think is different from CK2. Again, I'm not a huge expert on CK2, so forgive me if this is wrong. But if you are trying to walk through some baronies, for instance, say I want to go up here, every barony that you walk through, or every, I think, piece of land next to a barony, I think, everything that you try to walk through and you haven't taken the one before it on the path, you will take a certain number of casualties on. So for instance, if I try to go through here, I haven't taken this one, you know, the one that's in this area, I'm trying to pass through the barony, through this little area called Surrey, into this one, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be some big damage, so you have to go and take this. Oh, by the way, every single one of these little state things has its own barony. Baronies are the things that you siege down because, well, I don't know, I guess it just adds some granularity, and I have to admit, I'm a bit of a fan of it. So you can have little counties, and you can have boroughs, baronies, bishoprics within these little provinces, which is quite nice. You can only siege baronies, though. If, say, for instance, I stood here, nothing would happen. But anyways, we have a demonstration of leadership. My marshal has been hovering around my council meetings lately. Well, I could get levy reinforcement rate. Whew. Okay, but that's just the holding of Alençon. Or my count could like me a little more. Do you like me that much? You don't like me too much. But I also do get 50 lifestyle points, and I do like that. Of course, I will join you in this war. Learn to feel the men. To fear the men of Gwynedd. Excellent. Beautiful stuff. Also, there's a little bit of beautiful background audio for sieges. The catapult goes down, and it just sends it. And you hear it right on the left side there. Oh, that is nice. Okay, now it looks like England's moving in. These troops are actually very strong. Because the Duchy of Holland's getting involved. Ooh, I'm at war with the Duchy of Holland. Munster, Holland. Ooh, I'm not sure where Holland came into this whole thing. There's the timer, but you know what? We have a couple more things to do before the end of this. Alright, it looks to me like Gwynedd is making a move. And what I like about CK3 so far is actually how intelligent the AI is, generally speaking. So, for instance, when I want to fight a battle, what's going to happen is the AI is going to see that I have clicked on a spot here, because even though I'm not adjacent, right, I'm next to it, so the AI sees that. I said that wrong, by the way, but even if I'm not adjacent, it shows the little icon for battles, because I intend to fight here. So the AI sees that, and they're like, okay, we're gonna go and help you out, because you clearly intend to fight. So the AI likes to stick with you a lot more these days, and oh, it feels nice. You definitely feel it. Defending the forest, I have more soldiers, more men-at-arms counter. I will probably win, but I'm a little bit worried about these guys going in. I think what's happening is that you're probably waiting to see, aren't you? Or, oh, you're going somewhere else. Ooh. Wait to see how this sort of turns out here. So we've won one battle and Gwynedd lost the other battle. Okay, interesting. If I attack you here, then I should win. Can't really see how long it's going to take for each of those armies to move in, though. 1 day left for me, though, so I'm locked in regardless. Looks like we're going to win. Very nice. Beautiful. What I'm looking for, though, is I'm looking for the king. Specifically, the king. Because I'm pretty sure he's out commanding an army right now. And if I happen to find him and capture him, then I get an instant 100% peace deal. I can enforce demands, become King of England, GG, it is done. Which would be, obviously, pretty nice. But it's possible Oh, Duke Morcar is commanding that host. What do we have here? Duke Morcar and King Harold II. Yes, he's right here. So he's actually the one, I think, leading the charge into Gwynedd? Or perhaps he's trying to siege. Looks like they're having a siege party, so I'm going to go for the capital while they do that. Don't like how many men are starting to stack. Oh, you're playing dangerous games with me. Okay, I think I disintegrated that army. Yes, they lost 512 soldiers, so it's gone. Now, sieges are also a little bit different. I've sort of been absent-mindedly sieging, but let's talk about them, actually. So, sieges are a little different from both CK2 and from EU4. If you're coming from EU4 and you're all about that siege game, you know that forts can be exceedingly annoying. But in CK3, they're a tad bit different because you have a set amount of time that you're going to siege within, like you're guaranteed it's going to be done. People can only hold on for so long. Those miracle sieges that last like 71 years in EU4, they don't exist here. What happens in this case is that you have a daily siege progress. Our siege weapons contribute an extra 1.2, so essentially doubling the base rate, which is why they're so important to have. And there's around, I think it's 20 days. That's 20 days, and it can actually be decreased by breaches and stuff like that. But every whatever number, X number of days here, there's going to be an event. In this case, we've got the breach, but you can have stuff like starvation. You can have things like I'm not really sure, just random defender disadvantages, which are incredibly useful. Starvation one, I think, gives you an extra 10% immediate siege progress, which is, it's very nice. Alright, what do we have here? Marshal. Well, he's a powerful vassal, so I might as well. Gotta make him happy. Doing pretty well here. Alright, my son. Commotion among the children today. Judith was attempting to preach among her fellow youngsters and became the target of a small fight. Richard intervened. Okay. Retaining the trait Calm, giving you Dread Decay increase. So that's not very good, but that's fine. Scheme Discovery Chance, which is amazing. Stress Loss, which is absolutely amazing. Stress is a pretty important part of this. And while we're here, I might as well talk about it. Okay, so stress. We have the ability to gain stress whenever we go against our character's general traits and stuff like that. Or when you try to force one of your sons to do something different, I think. You gain a little bit of stress when doing abnormal things, things that your character wouldn't normally do if you weren't the one controlling them. So it's a little bit of forced roleplay. If you're not into that, that's understandable, but I do kind of appreciate the system for what it is. It's a little bit more flavor, and I don't know, I'm a fan of it. But we're going to keep this guy calm so that we don't get too stressed. If we reach the maximum of the bar here, then our stress level increases by 1. And if that happens, then we have a mental breakdown, and we have to generally create a coping mechanism, usually. Sometimes it can be just like going for jogs, sometimes it can be something more harmful, like gluttonous, or, generally like, eat your problems away, and so your character becomes fat, and that's generally not too good. But you create a bunch of coping mechanisms if you become stressful too often. There's probably an achievement for that, but that's neither here nor there for now. Alright, we're going to give ourselves a bit of natural dread. Dread lets your vassals become a little bit afraid of you, which is sometimes a little bit important here. And we are going to be playing a tyrant to start off with our initial character. I mean, invading England, I'd say, is a bit of an act of tyranny, so a little bit understandable. Alright, we have everyone ready to go here. We're going to invade you. Oh, I have a better commander, do you? Yes, because one of you has the king. And the king has an incredible amount of martial. Pretty sure he has like 31 or something, which is actually pretty impressive. Alright, I don't feel too keen on fighting you in the hills there. You do have 5 pips, which is pretty incredible. Although I think that's more or less a feint, because 2 of your armies have 5 pips, but 1 has 1. I'd sort of estimate you closer to 3 pips, I don't know. But I'm not really willing to fight to find out. I'm gonna wait for some of you to move. If I fight here, then I'll be defending in the forest with defensive buildings. So I should get a bit of an advantage. The commander will be better, and they have more men-at-arms counter. So remember when we talked earlier about these men-at-arms things, some of them have counters, so for instance, these guys should counter archers, yes. You counter infantry, or the heavy infantry, and you guys counter the spearmen. So they have more counter, generally speaking, which is not good, but oh well. We should be relatively matched, and in theory should win through sheer numbers, actually. Really wish that siege wasn't in the way. There we go. So they have elite quality, 6 knights, I have 8 knights though, and high quality. They're using bowmen, really, just bowmen. So our cavalry would have an advantage, except it's forests, which is not too cool, but... Anyways, one of our knights took a bit of damage, but that's okay. It's another battle won, and I'm gonna have to go and find the king. I wonder where he's at. Are you here? Petty king? No, that's not the right king. Because you are Lumnek, right? First Army of Lumnich. One of those things. Commanded by, yes, Munster's king. That's who it is. Ooh, right, I can't chase them too far, of course. That's what I do like about this. So, for instance, you can't just get bullied by the AI, you know, you have a bit of a chance to run away. Because they have to siege down your stuff before chasing you to the ends of the earth. So, okay, I see you. I really want to fight you. Really, really badly. Are you going to attack me? Are you going to attack into me? You are. Now, they could actually win this one if we're not careful. Oh my god. Okay, never mind. We somehow crushed them so hard that we not only disintegrated the army, but we also just won the war. So this is going to make us independent. We get the Kingdom of England to ourselves. We seize a whole bunch of stuff. The de jure lands for like a ton of things. Basically, we're going to get like 20 cities or something. And a bunch of kingdoms and stuff. Earldoms, more or less. So we enforce our demands here. I am now a mighty king, and my name should change to the Conqueror. There it is. William the Conqueror of England, looking very slick. And we're at war with people. Ah, isn't that a fun sight to see? Yes, we're actually at war with Sweden, the Isles, and Norway, because guess who was also at war with England? It's Norway. So, while taking the title itself, which feels very nice, we've also gone ahead and inherited the war here. Now, Norway seems like they're going to be hard to fight, but I can assure you, with a bit of a little trick here, we should be fine. Because all we have to do, we're going to set a new rally point. By the way, if you didn't know how to do that, because I don't think the tutorial tells you, basically just follow what I did. Click a rally point, click a new place, and it allows you to raise your men there. I can raise all of them, all of those who have not been raised, and that would take a little bit of time to get involved with, for all of them to group up and stuff like that, because we did just inherit a ton of levies from now owning England and having a ton of vassals. But in any case, we are, you know, by far out of time on this whole thing, and we're going to have to come back next time to consolidate our power, and to fight back against Norway, and, well, figure out our ambition for the next few years of this campaign. For now, though, this is Quarbit signing off, hoping you enjoyed it, and as always, have a fantastic day. I'd like to give a quick shout out for the patrons for the month of July, especially those we have in the Admiral tier, Ben Greenhagen, Cara Newley, and Tiger Pop. Those in the General tier, Justinian, Brennan Arcano, and Alexander Baker. Those in the Prince tier, Natsuki, Rockbox 2020, and TFLJ Martis. And as always, in the King tier, we have Chewy Shoot. Thank you guys so much for your pledges, it means a lot to me. You're helping to move this channel forward much more than you know. And as always, I cannot possibly thank you enough.